Hello, friends. It's Emily Wardrop from Drop to War Life Coaching. Thanks for taking the minute to watch this video. I have a very important message, so I'm glad you're watching. Your kids are not tigers, right? Pretty sure everybody knows that except Daniel Tiger's mom. Her kid is a tiger, and she actually has this tip down really well. Daniel Tiger's mom keeps her shoes together really well. Have you noticed this? Whenever I think about like the ideal mom I'm trying to be, and I'm like, no real human mom even can do any of this. I'm like, except Daniel Tiger's mom, right? Because they're all about teaching kids emotional regulation and all that. So they know the brain psychology. So your brain, you've heard of fight or flight or flee or flood or whatever. They're like adding new F's all the time that your brain does. So fight or flight, right? At the basics is your brain's wiring to keep you safe, right? So if there's a threat, then you can protect yourself. That is like one of the basic functions of your brain. So when tigers were running more rampant and a more threat to humans, then that fight or flight was really helpful to be able to run from predators like tigers. But that wiring in our brain still functions even though we're not running from tigers. We're just hanging out with toddlers all day. And your toddler is not a tiger. It feels like it though. It literally in your brain doesn't know the difference between a toddler and a tiger. Okay. So this is one thing that you can remind yourself of. So when your kid is having a complete freak out, have you noticed how you tend to freak out too? It's because that is perceived by the brain as a threat. Your toddler is a tiger during that freak out. Literally in your brain thinks that they're a tiger, they're a threat. And so you go into fight or flight. So maybe you are a fighter. So they're screaming, so you scream back. Maybe you're a flighter. You're like, holy, things are exploding. I need to go like hide in the bathroom for a minute. Or all the other F's, right? Fight, flight, flee, fight, flight. Anyway, the brain psychologists are getting very technical on all these things, and they all apply. The basic principle, that's all we're talking about today, is that your toddlers are not tigers. Okay. So in the heat of the moment, you're going to feel it and you're going to react because that is your brain's natural way of doing it. And you're still a good mom. Okay. So you can stop right now beating yourself up for acting the way your brain is designed to make you act. Okay. We are not going to reprogram our brains to become robots instead of humans. We will always have that wiring to keep us safe. And we want to stay safe and we want to keep our kids safe, right? There's another one. When the kids are fighting, why is that always like one of the main topics we talk about in coaching, right? Because you go into mama bear mode, right? Your kid is not a tiger and you are not a bear, okay? You're not a protective mama bear and you're not an aggressive whatever bear, okay? You're a human and your brain is working exactly how it's supposed to. So remind yourself about this on these calm moments so that when you're in the heat of the moment, all you can do then is process those emotions because your brain is going to do what the brain does. It fires, it wires, and you're going to feel it, okay? So stop beating yourself up for feeling irritated, for feeling frustrated, for feeling overwhelmed. These are all feelings that come from our brain doing exactly what brains are supposed to do. So if you can't figure out what that thought is exactly that's making you feel, just be like, well, my brain is thinking thoughts because my brain is doing its job. And my body is feeling feelings because my body is doing its job and nothing has gone wrong here. Okay. Then when you're in calm moments like this, if you can figure out what those thoughts are, then you can start to change them. Okay. Because a lot of times we're adding meaning on top of the natural brain wiring. And those are things that we can change, right? That we're just conditioned with, that we're cultured with, that we've been believing for a long time. But we can change those. We can take a look at them, decide if we want to believe them on purpose or not. Like, my kid's not listening to me. You know the model, is that a circumstance or a thought? My kid is not listening to me. People want to put that in the circumstance line all the time. It's not a circumstance. It's your thought about what's happening. So maybe you told them, turn off the Nintendo, it's time for lunch. Okay. You could probably put that in your circumstance line. You could even put, he continued to play the Nintendo you know, like, but once you get into, and he didn't jump right up and come over for lunch, like we're getting into thought land here. Okay. We're making it mean something that he's disrespecting me. Oh, that he's not listening to me. That is what doesn't go in the C line. It goes in the thought line. When you think he's not listening to me, then you get frustrated. Okay. It has nothing to do with him still on the Nintendo. It has to do with you thinking he's not listening to me. I promise, because my brain gives me this thought all the time. Nobody listens to me. Not even Alexa listens to me. And then whenever I say that, Alexa hears, and she's like, what was that? I'm like, okay, fine. She does listen. And they all listen too, but they're in their own worlds. Okay. Your husband's in his own world, especially if he has a screen in front of his face, right? Same with the kids. He's playing Nintendo. Like his brain is going crazy. He can't hear some little mom nag from the other room. Okay. He's not listening to you. He literally didn't hear you. And he's in his own world. Okay. So that's how we drop the war. Drop the war life coaching is to respect his agency, his life, his feelings, his experience that he's having is how we drop our end of the rope. We got to stop expecting them to drop their end of the rope by turning off the Nintendo right when we say so and coming in for lunch. Have you had this experience where you've told them over and over and over and over, and not until you scream do they listen? And you're like, how come nobody listens to me unless I'm screaming? It's because they literally don't hear it. So if you want to use a more gentle approach, you go into the room, you get their attention, you say, hey, hit pause on your show. And then you talk to them, say, it's time for lunch. Can you pause your game and come in to the kitchen? And then there you come. Have you noticed you get cooperation when you drop your end of the rope and you respect them? Okay. That was a tangent. We're supposed to be talking about tigers. Anyway, they're not a threat. Okay. So him not listening when you tell him it's time for lunch is not a threat, but your brain literally thinks he's a tiger in there and you need to go in there and defend yourself or protect your young, right? I didn't finish that thought about the kids quarreling. So if one of the kids is like, getting aggressive on the other kid, then we're going to want to protect that one. And we're going to want to get aggressive on the one that's getting aggressive on that one, right? This is our brain. I promise you, it's your brain working how your brain's supposed to be working. And the only problem here is when we make it a problem, we make it mean we're a terrible mom, and then we beat up on ourselves for how we behave. Okay. I promise you, the first step is to believe that you are a good mom, because you just are, and your brain just is how it is. And it's designed to keep everyone safe. Okay. So if you didn't have that part of your brain and your kids were fighting and you were just like totally fine with it, then like literally harm could come to your kids. Like you want to keep yourself safe and your kids safe. So we got to cut that part of the brain some slack. It's there for a reason. It's doing good things and we appreciate it. Okay. So your kids are not a tiger. Remember that. You can try to remember in the heat of the moment, but mostly it's in the calm times is when you actually can retrain your brain, because in the heat of the moment, it just does the default wiring. So if you can figure out what the thoughts are, like he's not listening to me, and debunk them, he is listening to you, or he does when he actually, has your attention. So get his attention first. There are things like that. He's not respecting me. It has nothing to do with respect. You're not respecting him, my friend. You're screaming at him from the other room. When people do that to me, I sure don't like it. I'm like, they're like, mom, from the other. I'm like, would you come into the same room as me and speak to me in like a normal tone? I'm like, and I expect them to respect me in that way. Maybe I could do the same for them. Anyway, your kids are not toddlers. That's not true. Maybe your kids aren't toddlers. Your toddlers are not tigers. My kids are not toddlers. I mean, some of them are, but I put up a more recent picture. Oh yeah, I didn't even clean my background today. Isn't that nice? Or change my shirt. You got my Cobra Kai looking at you this whole time. So I guess some of those are kind of considered toddlers. I don't know what years is technically toddler, but they're getting older. I'm telling you, you don't believe it in those long days. The days are long, but the years fly by. Okay, let's make the most of this time while it's flying. Happy summer, or I don't know if I'm sending this out during the summer, but your kids are not tigers. Your brain is working just how it's supposed to. Don't beat yourself up, mama. You got this. You are a good mom. Okay. Love you. Bye. See you next time.